Last night, neither of those teams played well. I want to establish that now. I didn't walk away from that game impressed by the Denver Broncos.
No, but man, this sequence, this ending, it was beautiful.
41-yard drive for the win. Lutz. He missed it. But a flag is down. And we'll count them up.
We're going to cover up some people. I don't even know where we're at. I don't know. They said
and 12. You got it.
There's the 12th
There's
guy.
12. Back there in the back, Terrell Bernard. So there were 12 men out there.
There's nothing guaranteed.
Good snap, good hold. Kick, perfect. And the Broncos have come to Buffalo. And they're going to leave with a win. 24-22 to get to 4-5.
That, of course, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, ESPN, ABC last night. That's how it ended. The 12th man on the field penalty.
It was like, who could one-up each other for a worse decision? It was a bad decision by Sean Payton to rush his kicking unit out there to speed kick the ball because Lutz missed it. And then, for whatever reason, Buffalo, even though it was clear that that's how that was going to go down, decided they didn't know that was coming, had a timeout, didn't call it, and just allowed 12 men to be on the field anyway. So just blew it in every conceivable way. The Bills, I told you, the beginning conversation we had at the beginning of this year was, I thought that this year would show the beginning of the end, but that next year would really be the end. I might have been a year too late. They look cooked right now, don't they? McDermott's making mistake after mistake. Josh Allen can't stop throwing picks. They look lost. Stephon Diggs' brother was tweeting that, man 14 got to get out of there after the game.
Yeah,
his own brother.
They are 5-5, and their path forward isn't very easy moving at all, even though that whole division, by the way, is on a losing streak currently. The Dolphins,
maybe the Bills didn't have a timeout left. They're saying they didn't.
Bills have lost 2 in a row. Jets have lost 2 in a row. Patriots have lost three in a row. That whole division is losing right now. They're only, they're right now 5-5. The Dolphins are 6-3. It's not like they're running away with the division. But there's no reason to believe that the Bills are going to fix this. The turnovers have been a problem for a while. The injuries, I think, still is the biggest issue. And Sean McDermott, this guy, man, before the season, we talked about coaches that could get fired and what would have to happen. And I think one of the scenarios we said Sean McDermott, he's not getting fired. He'd have to have a 7-win season. That's in play now. That's the problem for them. And Sean McDermott has had some huge lapses in the last couple of years. We all know 13-second drive game here in Kansas City, right? The way they decided to kick off, and then his defense wasn't prepared, led to the 13-second drive they lose, as we all know. They've really never recovered from that game.
No.
Sean McDermott was talking about it the entire offseason. Clearly, they never got over it. And then last night, Sean McDermott, you're the head coach. I know there's other guys on your staff handling the substitute. It's still on you. You're the head coach. In fact,
your job is substitutions.
Sean McDermott talked about how they practice substitutions during practice, during the week. They practice that on that exact scenario.
John, that's got to be one more inexplicable losses that you've suffered, given the way it ended.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We practiced 2 or 3 times that this week, the substitution from dime to field goal block, and at the end of the day, we didn't execute it, so it's inexcusable.
Yeah, that's fireable, and if they don't find a way to get out of this, somehow make the playoffs, he probably is gone.
They need honestly, I know that that's not going in New York, so people never. They missed Dable. Their offenses look like it's just like throwing stuff at the wall outside of the seasons they had him there, doesn't it? About every other year of Josh Allen's career. It's not like he still can't do things that are incredibly athletic. It's not that he doesn't still throw passing touchdowns, have a ton of yardage, all of those things. But there's a lot more guesswork in it. It's just pure athleticism plays, right, for Josh Allen. And it doesn't feel like they have any kind of consistency to their offense. From the Broncos, and by the way, this is great for the Chiefs. The more games they win is great for the Chiefs because it means they just keep sticking with what they have. And they're not good enough to threaten you in the division or threaten you in the playoffs. So who cares? As many years as you just want to sit around in mediocrity, fine with me. Josh Allen leads the league in passing touchdowns and in interceptions. Now, he's played an extra game than Mahomes and some of these other guys, but still, like, they just look so weird and lost, and I can't decide. They were the one team that I couldn't decide, like, do I worry about them in the postseason anymore? Like, am I supposed to worry about the Bills still in the postseason?
Well, I mean, if this team
ends up, maybe.
If this team now does, that would mean they got to win like 4 or 5 in a row at some point. I mean, that at that point would change, I think, our narrative around them. Someone says that McDermott's not getting fired. I think he has to win 8+ games to make sure that's not happening. Like, if they finish, with 5, which is what they're at right now, or 6 wins, I absolutely think that's in play. I mean, they might clean house with everybody but Josh Allen. That is absolutely, I think, in play, depending on how their schedule goes. And if you look for Buffalo, the rest of this, we know they're playing Kansas City, right? They get the Jets next week. They already lost to them once. That's a coin flip game now. It just is.
For sure.
Eagles, they're going to be dogs in that game. Chiefs, they're going to be underdogs in that game. Cowboys are going to be underdogs in that game. Chargers, it's a coin flip game. Patriots, okay, I'll give you that one. And then I think they wrap up the season, against the Dolphins. Like, they could win 7 games
They could easily miss the postseason.
They win 7 games.
Honestly, at this point, if you made me
they're
guess,
not making the postseason.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you made me put money on it one way or the other, and it was even money odds, they're not making the postseason. And look, Cincinnati's got their own problems, and they're certainly at risk, but at least they're 5-4.
Like,
one
they just
less
gave
in the loss column.
Like, I hear you,
their
text
schedule's
line,
easier.
913-586-7610. I hear you saying, hey, they just gave him a big extension, and he's been good consistently. That hasn't saved everybody. You guys know that. Like, that getting the extension, even though they're guaranteed contracts, it doesn't. When you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, you're seeing what's happening in the AFC. How many owners though are willing to stomach? Let's say it ends up. I'm telling you, if it ends up being a 6 or 7 win season,
well, how do you run into this problem?
And he doesn't have the ring. Like, this is not the same thing if Andy Reid suddenly had a 7-win season. He's got 2 rings and 3 Super Bowl appearances with the Chiefs. Sean McDermott has 0 Super Bowl appearances and 0 rings.
This points to what, like, if the 13-second thing definitely affected them. I think it'd be kind of silly to think that it didn't. But I also think that this points to probably kind of the broader picture of the NFL is typically your window is limited to a few years to get to a Super Bowl. The Chiefs are the massive exception to that because they're in the middle of a dynasty run. They get a chance every year. Every other team, the Rams, they get a couple of years, maybe 4 if you're lucky, where you're a real Super Bowl contender, and then your defense gets older, everyone gets expensive, you aren't winning the Super Bowl, so you stop liking each other. That's the Stephon Diggs part of this equation. And you run back into this circle where you don't matter. You're not. The Ravens are back. They had a 2 or 3 year run, right? Their run went away. Now maybe they're back in the middle of one. We'll see. Depends on what they do over the next few weeks. But typically those things come in ebb and flow. It clearly looks like this is the bottom part for the Bills right now, especially based on the way they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of stunning, though. I mean, we could have talked about, are they going to fall off a little bit? But I never thought we'd be sitting here to be 5-5.
Their cap space also isn't very good for next year either.
They're all in.
No, they have one of the worst cap situations. That's what Gold's talking about. When you fire McDermott, you're doing it because you know you have to tear it all down except for Allen.
Right.
You're like, trade everyone away, wash away all these big veteran contracts, acquire draft picks, and we'll see you all in 2 years, 3 years. Because like in the NFL, you can tear it down and rebuild in about 2 years. So next year, it's like, oh, maybe if we do things well, we're a 9-win team. The year after that, we're an 11-win team, and then we're back in a Super Bowl window. That's what they got to bank on now. If you're the Bills, that's the only answer.
Coming up in 10 minutes, Vinny Pasquantino, our VNFL insider, going to join us. He, of course, follows the AFCs closely. If he's a Jets fan, he's seeing this like, the Jets could be in second place here very, very soon in that division.
What's their schedule like?
And they play the Dolphins on that Black Friday game, the first ever on Amazon or whatever. I mean, that all of a sudden, if things went right, they could be playing for first place in the AFC East that day.